Welcome to another day of accountability where I talk about my data analyst journey. So, today I'd like to talk about the process of identifying data. There's 3 steps. Number 1 is determine the information that you want. Number 2 is have a plan as to how it is and where it is that you're going to get your data. And then number 3 is define the method that you're going to use to collect the data. So let's start off with step number 1. Specify the specific data that you need. One of the key things that you'll need to take into consideration in this step is determining your data sources. And then step number 2, we're going to need to establish a plan. What does this mean? Basically, we'll need to figure out how much data do we need in order for this to be credible or viable, in order for us to gain the insight that we need to gain in order to do whatever it is that we need to do when it comes to this data. And then we also need to establish a time frame. Well, I guess this does come into project management. We can't just be flailing around for 5 years collecting data because times change, data evolves, so obviously you need to catch the zeitgeist. And then obviously, because sometimes things never really do go to plan, you need to have secondary plans. You need to mitigate risks as well as figure out the relevant dependencies in order to make all of this work. Number 3, we're going to need to determine our methods of collection, which I'm guessing will come down to technology, sorting out what type of databases we're going to create, as well as the data types, just to name a few things. So when it comes to identifying data after these 3 steps, there are 3 key considerations that need to be made. Number 1 revolves around quality, number 2 revolves around governance, and number 3 revolves around privacy. Let's delve into the key factor of quality. Definitely, the data needs to be free of errors. The data, once it has been cleaned, will have to be standardized, as well as it needs to be complete, and the data needs to be accurate, or else obviously we won't be able to carry out some productive analysis. When it comes to governance, which is basically security, there will be regulation as well as compliance, because we're dealing with data and data can be pretty sensitive. So depending on where you are, what it is that you're working on, definitely we'll need to pay attention to policies as well as best practices in order to not get into any trouble. And then as for privacy, that kind of links up with data governance in the sense that confidentiality as well as license for use will have to be taken seriously, or else you know how it's like when you breach people's privacy. And also compliance to mandated regulations. So in essence, when it comes to the whole data privacy issue, there are 3 best practices that you need to define. First off is making sure that you have auditable trails, because obviously you can buy data and get it how you live, get it by any means, get it by illegal methods, which will definitely get you into trouble. Another one would be validations, making sure that your privacy methods or your privacy compliance is actually valid, or your privacy practices are actually valid. So in conclusion, taking into consideration the 3 steps as well as the best practices that I just mentioned, I believe this is the best way of identifying data that could actually help us a lot, as well as keep us out of trouble, as well as save us a lot of time. But nonetheless, thanks for watching. Peace.